What is going on, everyone? My name is Northy, and today, feeling a little under the weather, but I'm going to try my best to get through it and hopefully have another successful week. It is round 8. We are back again for another weekend. Oh, the weekend is always the best part of the week for any week whenever the footy season is on. So round 8, we are really in and amongst it now after an awesome week last week in terms of Teamcoach results and just some awesome games. I'm hopeful that we can somehow find a way to replicate that this weekend. So without further ado, let's have a look at our Teamcoach team. But before we get in there, please be sure to leave a like. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Everything is always very much appreciated. Let's try and get to 30 likes for this one. That'd be very much appreciated. But nonetheless, without further ado, let's get into our teams for the week. So, here we are. Homepage, as per usual. We're going to go through our tips first. Last week was good. We had a good week last week. As I mentioned, the 8 out of 9 that we saw before, but unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen again this week. My tips are never really that good. You can see from round 0, that's usually what you get. So, we're going to look at round 8 here, and there's some good matchups. I'm going to get the easy ones out of the way. Saints will beat North, unfortunately. I think Essendon will beat West Coast. I think that's pretty simple to kind of guess. And with the way Richmond are playing right now, I think Freo will have their way with them. But then other than that, the Dogs will probably get the Hawks pretty easily as well. There's 4 picks pretty much straight off the rip. The other ones, not so easy. Brisbane, you'd think, should win it. But, I mean, 2 and 5 is a bit of a hard team to kind of tip for. It's at the Gabba, though. You'd think that the Lions take it. I am going to tip the Lions. I think they can get them at home, although they aren't as solid as they were at home this year as they were last year. But I'm going to put my faith in them. I guess it's a bit of an upset pick there. We move to Sydney versus GWS. Now, it depends what type of Sydney we get. Do we get the MCG Sydney that we saw against Richmond, or do we get their usual selves? I think we're going to get that, considering more often than not we've seen it. But GWS, they've been really good this year. That big win against Brisbane, they've had some really solid wins. That one against Collingwood was another big one. I think I'm going to stick with Sydney, though. I don't know. It's going to be a really big clash. It's going to be good fun. Can't wait to watch that one. I'm thinking it's going Sydney's way, though. We look Carlton Collingwood, man. This is going to be exciting. The entire place is going to be bumping for that one. I am going to tip Carlton. I think Collingwood, although they have showed signs and they absolutely will keep it close, I think Carlton are going to get him. I think they're going to get him. It's going to be a good one, though, that's for sure. Melbourne versus Geelong. Both sides aren't too bad. I think Melbourne, though, that first half was just awful, man. Geelong should get him. They should get him. Again, no reason to tip against someone and a team that is undefeated so far. I can't believe Geelong are once again an undefeated team, man. They missed the finals for 1 year. They missed them for 1 year, and now they're back to undefeated. Okay, and then we go Adelaide versus Power. This one, you almost have to throw the book out for whatever their season has been so far up until this point. Adelaide, they've come off a big 57-point win against North Melbourne, but that's honestly not good prep for a game against a much better team in the Power. I'm going to go with the Power. A few things to look out for. Power Pepper and Alira are out, so maybe that means the Crows have a bit of an easier task in terms of their defense, but there's still some good players in there. They've chucked Rosie on the half forward to hopefully get some scoring threats from him. I hope Rosie has a good game, though, overall. And that is going to be my tips for the week. That's the 9 games done and dusted. Now let's go and have a look at Star Powers. Now, Star Powers, I'm going to go through very briefly because there are no changes. Everyone who was in last week is in this week. I don't see a reason to change anything when we managed to get prize cards in both game modes. There's no point. Why should I change it? We got 20th last week, which was the last spot for a prize card. We'll absolutely take that. And Silver, 7th. That's a prize card as well, man. That's really, really good. 2nd and 3rd, respectively. We didn't actually move up last week, but we didn't move down. And that's always good. We're always happy with that. And so maybe we keep it up. I'm going to need some good games again. It's going to be Zach Merritt and Nick Martin that are probably the biggest ones this week. They're up against West Coast. And although they aren't as bad as they used to be, West Coast definitely aren't an amazing team that's going to make it difficult for them. So I'm sticking with these two. Hopefully they put on a good show. Maxi Gorn we're sticking with as well. Again, up against Geelong. I don't know how it's going to go, but looking at the rest of them, and maybe Cameron plays well this time around. Jared Witts, who I think is coming up against, who was it again? Yeah, Brisbane, Oscar McInerney. That could be an interesting one. Maybe he gets the best of them. We see. We'll have to wait and see. Pendles always does all right. Tex could have a big one. There's some really, really dangerous ones for Trailblazers, so I'm going to need Maxi Gorn to have another big week. Defensive Dynamo, obviously Blakey had the big week last week, so he's one to look out for. But it was in a dominant performance against the Hawks, so I'm trying to think who would be just as dominant in that sense. And where does Blakey shine the most? He's up against this Giants squad that Lockie Whitfield is a part of, obviously, but we'll have to wait and see whether it's worth it keeping Lockie in. But again, no real reason to change it too much. And then Harry Sheasel, who's been consistently good all season. Bang average last week, and his average is very, very high. So happy to see Sheasel, at least a North Melbourne player, doing well this season. Yeah, there's not much more to explain. I think it's just a lot of hoping that the same things from last week happen again. Rosie had it wasn't a great week last week, but he got injured in the last bit, so he had to come off for a little bit, and he looks to be a little hobbled coming into this game. He's not out, which is really good. I was actually stressing really hard because I realized if Connor Rosie's out, I've got no backups. I really got no backups for Connor, and that means my team ranking would go down for the season for sure, and I definitely wouldn't be getting a prize card. So, man, Connor Rosie, it's going to be a very interesting task. Hopefully he feels confident enough to jump into the middle, but he's starting that half forward flank. We'll see, man. Sarong has had 207 weeks in a row. Would be nice to see him absolutely burst out. We had 105 from Whitfield. Again, bang average for him. And then these two with the big ones last week. If we can get two really good performances again from these guys, that'll just make this a lot less stressful, because I've got confidence in most of these guys to have good performances. And like we saw, I think 2 weeks ago, Rosie had 70 and we still got a prize card. So we just need good performances from everyone. That's really all it is. And these guys specifically need to play out of their skin. Nick Martin's set up for it. Hopefully get some middle runs, and Maxi Gawn obviously is always one they look for. So maybe we see a bit from him too. We go to top team though, and top team, no changes for the top 4, which is kind of interesting. There was one change really that I wanted to make, and that was Maxi Gawn for Rowan Marshall, but I've made that change before, and Rowan's had 2 bad weeks in a row. He's had 2 really poor weeks, so I'm thinking, do we put him in for his game against North? I feel like that'd be a smart decision because he is up against Tristan Sherry, and Sherry can get hitouts, but he can't dominate. He definitely can't dominate. And Rowan will definitely be able to get up and down the ground and probably find some opportunities to get some easy taps. So I'm thinking, do we chuck Rowan in? Will we see a change there? Maybe a last second move. We'll have to find out, and I'll let you guys know. But Heaney is staying in the forward line. I'm not going to change that up. I don't see a reason to still. He's playing in the midfield. And yeah, he was rested a little bit towards the end of the game. So hopefully Heaney can light it up a bit more as we get into this GWS Sydney clash. Last week, an amazing week. We didn't win a prize card, but 472 was 3 points off. And we kept our #1 ranking for the season. So I'm not mad at this lineup at all. And I still expect big things from it. Top 18 though. So what we're looking at for top 18 are a few changes based off of matchups. So one thing that I want to mention in the back line. There's 2 changes that have been made. So we have taken out, I can't even remember who it was, but we've put in Bailey Dale. Bailey Dale is now a change we have made officially. Looking through here, we definitely took out Bradley Hill. I'm just trying to remember. Luke Ryan, he was the other one we took out. I don't know why that took me so long, but Bailey Dale's been on a hot streak for 2 weeks, and I'm hoping that he can do it again. He has managed to provide a lot of help for that Western Bulldogs backline, even putting some goals on the board too. So he's become old reliable ever since becoming a substitution. And Jacob Wiedering has had 2 really good weeks in a row. One against Geelong. So this big one against Collingwood, he will be needed just as much. So intercept marking, those quick kicks around, he's definitely going to be wanted and needed throughout that game, and I absolutely think he can do it. 107 points last week is an amazing, and you see, you got in that top 6, and that's all that matters at the end of the week. If you're in that top 6, you are worthy of picking up, so I'm hopeful that'll work out well. Others are Andrew McGrath. That may be a bit of a meh one. This one was only needed because it was in Essendon's backline so much. Andy McGrath had such a good week purely because he was just needed all the time, so hopefully Andy can do another game like that, but I just don't know how much he'll be needed against West Coast. Who knows? We'll have to find out. But Sheasel stays in, Whitfield stays in, Young stays in. They all had 100, and I'm confident that they'll be able to keep going. And we go to the midfield. Obviously, at the moment, Max is still staying in, as we mentioned in the top 4. Maybe Rowan Marshall. Anderson stays in with 111 last week. Dunkley stays in, the only good Brisbane performer, and they're up against Gold Coast. He can have games where he just knows where to be, so I'm hopeful that he'll do it again. Sarong 107. Don't know whether it'll be the best of picks. Maybe we choose someone else here. You can see we got the likes of Dawson, we got the likes of Green, who have been consistently good. Even Matt Rao has been up there a fair bit. Laird had himself a good game, but I don't know whether we're going to keep picking him again. Errol may have to find a return. I'm not too sure. I'm thinking maybe Errol takes one of these guys out before the end of the week. We'll just have to wait and see, because he's going to be needed against the Giants. So, it's an interesting one. The midfield is just hard to gauge at the moment. You look at the season averages, and we've got a few up there. And then you look at how last week went. You can see the likes of Jack Steele, who's averaging a lot, had like 80 last week. That is just not good enough. So I'm hopeful that Isaiah, who's been a bit more consistent as of late, will be able to go ahead and do well. So other than that, we're going to move to the forward line, and two big changes here. We have taken out Charlie Curnow and put in his teammate and Harry Mackay. He's just been consistently better as of late. Maybe it's just because he's got more opportunity to get on the ball, but he's been playing very well. And then Langford up against West Coast. Been thinking about the likes of Maxi King, obviously not Jack Higgins as he is suspended, but Carl Langford up against West Coast should be able to find himself some good opportunities at goal this week. Other than that, the same goes for Cameron, for Bolton, for Myers, and for Heaney. Those guys are staying in. Our forward line has been pretty consistently good whenever I haven't messed it up myself this year, so I'm hoping we do it again this week. I think there's more than enough opportunities. We took out Danaher as well. He was the other change we made, and we just got to try and get ourselves that top 20 again, man. We're making small moves towards the top. You can see in front of me are two people at the moment for the season, so there are some consistent players right now, and I'm hopeful we can manage to burst out this week. We'll just have to wait and see, but that is it for the preview. And of course, I hope you guys enjoyed it as per usual. These previews are always exciting times for videos, and I'm hopeful that you guys are getting your team sorted out just like I am. I know that some of you guys have yet to win a prize card and have let me know in the comments, so let me know what changes you've made. Let me know who you've got in your team this week. I want to hear it. I want to say it. And I'm wishing you all the absolute best. I had my lucky week last week, so I'm pushing all my luck onto you guys. Hopefully you guys do well as well. And I'm excited to see where everyone goes for the rest of the season. So without further ado, be sure to leave a like. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Everything is always very much appreciated, as I've mentioned plenty of times before. Thank you guys for showing your continued support throughout the year. Hopefully this weekend is a good one and you enjoy your weekend of footy. So thank you again for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Good.